Hey, happy Thursday. Yes, come on in, pull up a chair. The Daily Dope is in the air. Howdy, gang. Yes, I'm Jeff McAleer, back once again as your host here at The Daily Dope, presented by thegaminggang.com. Today is the final day of February. It is Thursday, February 28th, 2019. It is episode 255 of The Daily Dope. So welcome aboard. If this is your first time tuning in because you want to check out The Witcher pen and paper role-playing game. I guess it's important that I mention that it's the pen and paper role-playing game, right? Welcome aboard. It's a very, very casual show. This is a live stream. And I just kick back, talk about tabletop gaming. For the most part, that's the majority of the show. Every once in a while, I'll talk a little bit about pop culture, maybe geek culture stuff. Not too often. It's mainly all about games. So I do have some news tonight, so that's going to be very cool. A lot of it role-playing game related because on Thursdays, I take a look at role-playing games. Just about every single Thursday. And I have a great love for role-playing games because I go way back to the late 70s with RPGs. So before I jump into the news, I got a serious item that I want to mention. A friend of mine from grammar school. A friend of mine, she lives in Chicago. I live just outside Chicago. But yeah, I keep in touch with her. I've seen her a couple of times over the past few years. I've gone into the city and visited and said howdy. And of course, on social media, we stay in touch. And amazingly enough, yesterday, her daughter, who I believe is in her 20s, thought she had the flu. Thought she had a really bad case of the flu. They went to like a urgent care or something like that, or she went to an urgent care. And it turned out it's pneumonia. They admitted her to the hospital. Within hours, she was in a cardiac failure. And last night, I had heard from my friend that her daughter, Audrey, I'm not going to mention my friend's name, but I will mention her daughter's name is Audrey, had gone from flu, pneumonia, cardiac failure, to her heart was actually working at about 15% efficiency. I heard a little earlier today that she's in ICU and they're putting her on the donor list. You know, like not to don, not to give out, but to be a recipient. And I believe it's for a new heart. That's crazy. So, I'm not a religious type, I have to be honest, but sending out really good vibes, healing vibes to my friend's daughter, Audrey. And take a moment, just put the kid in your thoughts. Kid, she's in her 20s. It's not really a kid. Anyway, but wow, that was like, holy cow. And you know, these things can happen, right? I mean, I know for a fact, it's almost been a year. In fact, March 15th will be a year since my near-fatal heart attack. I just finished up, if you watched yesterday's show, just finished up my cardiovascular rehab yesterday. But things can just happen in a blink of an eye. So it's probably important that you tell the folks that you love them, you know. Tell them more often than not, right? Because you never know when you may not have that chance again. So, sorry to start off on a down note, gang, but I just wanted to you know, mention that. And if you can, you know, well, fingers crossed, have a nice thought, kind thought for my friend's daughter. Hopefully things will take a turn for the better. All right, so moving right along, let's get into the show. So today, I received 3 packages. I was like, holy cow. I was like, my goodness. And I'm going to share some of the stuff that arrived today. Other stuff I will actually show off a little bit when I start talking about what's coming up on shows next week, as well as tomorrow's show. So first I get a package from a company called Dragon Portal. Or I'm sorry, Portal Dragon. My mistake. My apologies. They I just did a news piece about their Planetoid Kickstarter, which looks kind of interesting. Kind of tile-related game for 1 to 4 players, where each of the players are mining a planet. They're trying to get resources. And in the solitaire edition of it, in the solitaire version, I should say, you're actually racing against time against these aliens. So it looks kind of cool. So I got Pick the Lock. So I got a little card game. Pick the Lock, a game of chance and strategy. This I was not familiar with, but I did receive Palm Island, which I had heard of. And this is supposed to be a really cool card game. This came out, I want to say, I think this came out last year. Now, for some strange reason, I also received a Palm Island card carrier. I don't know what that might necessarily be. I'm sure it's got something to do with the game itself. But I also received a bigger footprint game that I do already have put on the side here. I will show that off in a little bit as something I've got scheduled for next week. So that was one of the packages. Another package I've already got. I'll show you when we talk about what's coming up. But then I got a box from our friends over at GMT. Now, last night I just did an unboxing and first look at, it's right behind my head, SPQR, the reprint of the deluxe edition. It's an Ancient Warfare war game featuring the Roman Empire. And I was like, hey, sweet. And all of a sudden I get this new box from GMT, because GMT's been doing a lot of reprints on a lot of their titles. So, and of course we'll be showing them off. I am super pleased that Combat Commander Europe is back in print. It's a Chad Jensen game. This is a World War II game. It is diceless. Some people had a really hard time kind of wrapping their heads around it when it first came out, because all of your combat results are in the cards, because it is also card driven. I am super pumped to see this back. Very, very cool. Very, very cool. So that's one of them. Then we got another reprint, Ardennes 44, The Battle of the Bulge. So this is the latest print run of this. Now I know there's a mounted map, but I don't believe it's in this. I mean, this box has some heft to it, but not that much heft. So I do not think it has a mounted board in it. Also got, yes, Labyrinth, The War on Terror. Almost said War on Taylor. What the hell am I thinking? Labyrinth, The War on Terror, for crying out loud. This is the 4th printing of this. This is an excellent game. I reviewed this when this first came out quite a few years ago. Gosh, I want to say it's maybe about 6-7 years ago this originally came out. This is really, really solid Volko Ruhnke design work here. This is an excellent game. In fact, I want to say, I think, I might be wrong, but I think this is the game that put Volko on the map. Volko, is it Volko? I think it's Volko. Volko Ruhnke. I don't know. You know me. Come on. I can barely speak English half the time. So I apologize when I get names wrong. But yeah, I think this was the game that really put him on the map. And of course, if you're a GMT fan and you play coin games, any of the coin series games, you know his work. And then finally, oh yeah, it's back. Mark Herman's Empire of the Sun, the Pacific War, 1941 to 1945. It is back, baby. If you have the time and if you have the wherewithal, I guess I would say, to get into a really meaty, card-driven, World War II Pacific game. This is it. The buck starts and stops with Empire of the Sun. It is that good. We're gonna bust this open. We're gonna take a look at some of these. We're gonna take a look at Combat Commander. Ardennes 44, I don't think I'll do an unboxing of, because I already did that maybe a year and a half ago, and I don't believe it's changed. I think everything's still pretty much the same. So that was in one of the boxes, and when we get into the what's coming up next week, man, I'm starting to get loads of stuff. I don't want to say that I've got a big backlog, but I try to get stuff covered, at least unboxed or first looks within, the first week after I receive it. But I don't know. I might do some special shows. I might just do like some special videos, maybe a Saturday show every once in a while. I don't know. I don't know who would pop in to watch. I got to be honest. So I'm going to jump into the news in just a second. As I mentioned, this is a live stream, so chat is available on YouTube. So if you're watching, you want to say hello, or maybe you have a question, or maybe you want to get a closer look at something from The Witcher when I'm paging through that, by all means, chime in. Chat is not on screen. It's one of the ways that I keep some of the stranger commenters at bay, but I do pay attention to the chat. So if you chime in, I will respond. Hey, Flaming Heron is popping in. Looking forward to today's episode and the chance to chat as always. And Ghost World pops in just as I'm talking about chat. Howdy, howdy. So yeah. So if you are watching live and you're in chat, just say howdy. Yeah, it's a friendly show. Very, very casual. Get a little chat going on. Things like that. Flaming Heron and Ghost. You missed what I got. What I just well, not everything that I got today. I got a bunch of stuff today. I had 3 boxes today. So you'll have to pop back and take a peek. But see what's going to be on the horizon. All right, so I'm going to jump into the news here. I've got a bit of news today. A lot of it is actually role-playing game focused. I know there are folks out there who do not like the tabletop gaming news of the day. If you are one of those people, look in the show notes. You can skip right past. So you've been warned, right? Personally, I love doing the tabletop gaming news, and I know a lot of people do dig it. But there are folks out there who are like the vocal minority who tend to be like, it's like, I just watch all these commercials. It's like, geez, come on, relax. So, first news piece actually would have fit in yesterday on War Game Wednesday, because this August, Osprey Games is going to release a 2-player card game, which is set in the days after the longest day. Here's the dope on Undaunted Normandy. We're delighted to announce that in August 2019, we will be releasing Undaunted Normandy, a 2-player deck-building strategy game designed by David Thompson and Trevor Benjamin, with illustrations by Roland McDonald. Set in the aftermath of the D-Day landings, Undaunted Normandy puts players in command of opposing forces in the European theater of World War II, either leading U.S. troops into occupied France or taking charge of the German defense and beating back the Allied advance. Played as a campaign that follows the operational history of the U.S. 30th Infantry Division, the game tests players' tactical ability as they issue orders to their troops, call in reinforcements, and manage the inevitable casualties of war. June 1944. Through the D-Day landings, the Allies have seized a foothold on the beaches of Normandy. Now you must lead your troops forward as you push deeper into France and drive the German forces back. You will face intense resistance, machine gun fire, and mortar bombardment, but a great commander can turn the situation to their advantage. They're also going to face hedgerows, which they weren't planning on being so difficult to get through. Anyway, Undaunted Normandy is a deck-building game that places you and your opponent in command of American or German forces fighting through a series of missions critical to the outcome of World War II. Use your cards to seize the initiative, bolster your forces, or control your troops on the battlefield. Strong leadership can turn the tide of battle in your favor, but reckless decisions could prove catastrophic, as every casualty you take removes a card from your deck. Take charge amidst the chaos of battle, hold fast in the face of opposition, and remain undaunted. At this point, I don't have much more info about this game other than that and the box art. That is all that I received from Osprey Games. Basically, I know it is a 2-player deck building game, and it will be arriving sometime this August. But I have to admit, sounds interesting. It does sound interesting. And people kind of dig that whole World War II card game, just like the Upfront Kickstarter that never came to pass, that slime ball. People were really pumped about Upfront getting kind of a revamp, the old Avalon Hill card game, but never saw the light of day. Wow, an African-American soldier. Buffalo Soldier units? They weren't called Buffalo Soldiers during World War II. Come on. African-American soldiers were present at Normandy, but if I remember correctly, and I might be wrong, I do believe they were more in a support role. I think. Don't hang me in effigy if I'm wrong. But this does look interesting. This does look pretty cool. Yeah, so alrighty. Let's move on to some RPG news, because this April, Steve Jackson Games is going to release the Fantasy Trip Legacy Edition. It's going to go into retail, and I've got the dope. Old school role-playing at its dungeon-crawling finest. Their words, not mine. The Fantasy Trip is easy to learn and fast to play, but it's been out of print for almost 40 years. Now it's back. This box set includes 2 complete mini-games, Melee for fighter combat, Wizard for sorceress contests. Combine them for all-out battle. Each minigame contains its own rules, maps, counters, and 3 dice. There's also 2 solo adventures, Death Test and Death Test 2, with more game counters. The 176-page role-playing rulebook, In the Labyrinth, a 24-page combat adventure, Tolan Kar's Lair with full-color dungeon map, also poster-sized color maps of the Duchy of Dran and the village of Benduin, over 30 two-sided erasable hex and mega hex tiles for playing out your encounters, a 4-panel reference screen with lists, tables, and useful stuff, and more. Pre-generated fighter cards, 2 extra dice. Oh my goodness, you're getting 8 dice. Pads of blank character sheets, a whole extra different labyrinth map, and a 14-hex dragon. If you recall Melee or Wizard, you'll know that's big. The Fantasy Trip Legacy Edition box set will carry an MSRP of $119.95 when it arrives in friendly local game stores this April. I had to point out, I really never share Steve Jackson Games news anymore, because they refuse to send out review copies, at least to me. And I had provided coverage to them from the beginning, interviewing representatives of theirs at various different conventions, everything like. Couldn't get a Ziploc bag game from them, which that's not really what they do anymore, but still, that's what Melee and Wizard were. But I have to point out, I have a soft spot in my heart for the Fantasy Trip. I do want to mention, if folks are kind of thinking about, wow, I want to get the Fantasy Trip because I want to jump into an old school role-playing game. It's not like D&D-ish. It really does have more of a board game roots to the design, even with the companion as well as the role-playing rulebook. It still has more of a hex and counter base to the game. Now, I'm not telling you don't pick it up, because like I said, I've got warm nostalgia for it, because I had Melee, I had Wizard, I had the various different because they came in little boxes. Melee and Wizard originally were in Ziploc bags. But then Steve Jackson Games moved over to this little box that you would actually they were just little boxes that had like the little hook so that stores could hang, put them on like a rack kind of thing. So I had a bunch of their solitaire adventures, like wasn't it the Search for the Silver Dragon? There was one that was you could win a silver dragon. There was another that you could win a no, I'm sorry, that's a silver unicorn. Then there was the gold dragon. And they actually hid a silver unicorn and a gold dragon somewhere in the US. So if you had figured out from the game where it was, if you were the first one to find it, it was yours to keep. So it was actually very, very cool, very odd back in the day. Kind of strange, but I played all of that stuff. I played tons and tons of Steve Jackson stuff over the years. That's why I always felt kind of like snubbed when it was like you'd go and interview somebody at a convention and you'd say, hey, come on, let's get something going here so we can provide you reviews and stuff. And so he's like, oh, well, we're not the ones selling stuff at the show here. It's our stuff is actually being sold through something. It's like, yeah, okay, whatever. All right, so, odd. SJ games are pretty big and decent quality. Surprised they're not more open to that, says Ghost World. I don't know. I am not the only person out there who has never been able to get Steve Jackson Games on board with any kind of reviews. So that's why I kind of... Ghost has been watching the show quite often. Flaming Huron pops in all the time. So they know for a fact, they can attest in chat. This is the first time they've probably seen a Steve Jackson Games news piece on the Daily Dope. Yeah, well, here's a company that I do talk about all the time. It's Modiphius Entertainment, and they have 3 new source books that are in print for their hit Conan Adventures in an Age Undreamed of. Dun dun. Every time I think of this game, I just start playing the soundtrack from Conan the Barbarian in my head. It just starts running through my head. The Arnold Schwarzenegger movie. The first one was great. Second one... Anyway, so we've got 3 new in-print titles. We've got Conan the Pirate. Welcome to the high seas. To the devil with empty seas, we're bound for waters where the seaports are fat and the merchant ships are crammed with plunder. That's how I like it. The Hyborian world is home to many dangerous people, and none are more savage, ruthless, or dastardly than its pirates, the scourge of the high seas. A menace to civilization itself, these seagoing bandits have their own ways, customs, and traditions, and Conan the Pirate explores pirates and the pirate world. It is available for $26.99 in hardcover. You can get the PDF through DriveThruRPG right now on sale, and I will have more to say about this sale in a moment, for $14.99. Oh, wait. I take that back. I don't think these are... They may be on sale. I forget. I thought I peeked at them earlier today, and I thought I saw they were on sale, but maybe they're not. There's also Nameless Cults, a world of gods, demons, and monsters. I have known many gods. He who denies them is as blind as he who trusts them too deeply. I seek not beyond death. Nameless Cults is the Game Master's indispensable guide to the cosmology, gods, cults, and other worldly entities of Conan's world and time. This sourcebook addresses the many gods and godlike entities of the Hyborian Age, delving into their cults, their priesthoods, and the strange and terrible rites of their followers. Once again, this is also $26.99 in hardcover and available in PDF on DriveThruRPG. Then there's Ancient Ruins and Cursed Cities. Welcome to the ruins. Somewhere in these primitive forests were the ruins of an ancient, accursed city, men whispered, and among its tombs slunk gray, anthropomorphic shadows. Really? Come on. Come on, Robert E. Howard. Seriously? Among its tombs slunk gray anthropomorphic shadows. Getting a little Lovecraftian there, buddy. The Hyborian world in the time of Conan teems with remote and forgotten places, brimming with danger and secrets. Ancient Ruins and Cursed Cities is the ultimate game master reference for bringing these crumbling ruins and remote locales to life in Robert E. Howard's Conan, Adventures in an Age Undreamed Of. Once again, $26.99 in hardcover and available on Drive-Thru RPG. Keep in mind, all three of these books are developed with leading Conan scholars, and these source books reveal a wealth of new information, detail, and adventure to create your own stories in the Hyborian Age. It's Conan's world brought to life just as Robert E. Howard imagined it. Okay, so let's pop back. Let's take a look at chat here. Loved GURPS. The original GURPS I thought was pretty cool. I had a lot of GURPS stuff. I was a big fan of George R.R. Martin's Wild Cards, which he was the editor of. It's a kind of like a shared world. In fact, there's supposed to be, who was it? One of the cable channels is actually developing a series based on Wild Cards. So I like GURPS. GURPS, as far as I kind of look at it, and it has been a long time since I've seen GURPS. I'm sure they've got a new edition, no doubt, since I've looked at it. It just got to the point where it was just a little too much crunch. It was like, God, you know, do I really need a rule for every damn thing going on? So, but the one aspect of GURPS that was great is all the source books, all the supplements that were out there for it. Anyway, but I really dig the Conan role-playing game, at least the core book. That's really all I've seen. I have reached out to, because Modiphius now has a PR person, where before it was just Chris Birch. And of course, he's busy running, you know, everything having to do with Modiphius Entertainment. So I have reached out to their PR person and start maybe taking a look at some of their physical books, because, funny enough, Free League Publishing sends me everything now, and gotten some really, really good view numbers on a lot of the Free League Publishing stuff. And the thing is, Free League Publishing, those books are actually put together by Modiphius Entertainment. So, so there's that. All right. So, you're looking to save some money? Looking to save a lot of money? Are you looking to get a really, really good deal? I mean, phenomenally good? If you have any interest in the Pathfinder role-playing game, Humble Bundle is actually helping Paizo to celebrate the 10th anniversary of Pathfinder. Yes, we know there's a new edition coming out at Gen Con. I know all about it. We should actually be getting a look at that too. Sweet. But do want to point out, if you have any interest whatsoever in Pathfinder, there is a phenomenal bundle going on right now. Here's the dope. The path to success is here. Filled with rulebooks, strategy guides, bestiaries, and campaigns, this bundle takes new and experienced players alike on a grand adventure. In this humble bundle, where you have tiers from $1 to $18, there is $505 worth of awesome stuff. And I do believe it is $505 worth PDFs. PDF value, not hardcover value, not book value. I'm talking PDF value, starting at $1 or more. So, as I mentioned, you can get $505 worth of Pathfinder stuff, including the beginner box, the core rules. The $18 tier actually has Starfinder in it as well, the Starfinder core book. Got all of this stuff available. You can get $505 worth of these PDFs for $18. No joke. There's about $120 worth of stuff just for $1. It's insane. So if you do go to humblebundle.com, check out their bundles, because there's 8 bundles going on right now. You'll see the Pathfinder. This still has 6 days to go. do want to point out, once you were to purchase this bundle, then it's actually the PDFs are on Paizo.com. So just in case you're wondering, well, where do I get the PDFs from? You'll get the PDFs from Paizo.com. So no kidding, that is just a smoking deal. Over $500 worth of Pathfinder stuff, $18. You got 6 days left to experience that. All right, so one final item that I do want to mention is that the GM's Day sale started over at Drive-Thru RPG. That's why I was mentioning, I thought I had seen that the Conan books, the PDFs were on sale, but you know, now that I think about it, I'm wrong. It's the Witcher PDF that's part of the sale right now. So if you aren't familiar with the GM's Day sale, it runs for, I believe we got about 11 days right now. And thousands, tens of thousands of PDFs are on sale, anywhere from 20% off and more. And of course, whenever I'm mentioning Drive-Thru RPG or the Wargame Vault or any of the one bookshelf sites, the Gaming Gang is actually an affiliate. So if you are going to go visit, say, Drive-Thru RPG, please stop at thegaminggang.com first. Click on the old banners that are on the website, because that way, if you do happen to make a purchase, I get a small portion of that sale. Little taste of that sale. It all adds up, and it all really helps to keep the Gaming Gang and thus the Daily Dope around. Okay, so that is it for the news. I am going to jump into the page through on The Witcher in just a couple of moments. Ghost knows what time it is. That's right. It's time for me to pull down Lil Whizbub. That's right. The little wizard stuffed Lil Bub. Yes, my pal, Lil Bub. Because, as I like to point out, the Gaming Gang and thus the Daily Dope are not for profit. So if you like the Gaming Gang and or the Daily Dope, please consider making a donation to Lil Bub's Big Fund and the American Society for the Prevention of Cruelty to Animals, because Lil Bub's Big Fund actually helps care for special needs animals who are awaiting adoption, who are waiting to go to their forever homes. And these pets, you know, need a little extra care. They might be older, they may have some mobility difficulties, they may have some sort of blindness or deafness or what have you. So 100% of all funds that are raised by Lil Bub's Big Fund are granted out to organizations to assist with them caring for these special needs animals before they find adoption. Sweet. So, pretty cool. So I always point that out. I'm not here to go, oh, hey, money. All right. So what is cooking on tomorrow's show and into next week? And as I mentioned, I got a bunch of stuff today, so I've kind of switched around some of the things that I'm tackling next week. So on tomorrow's show, I'm going back to back with the role-playing action. We are going to page through and take a first look at Adventures in Middle-earth, the Breland region guide. So this is for your 5th edition Tolkien adventuring. Do want to also mention that my contributor Sammy did a review of the One Ring role-playing game that went up on the Gaming Gang website today. I reviewed the core game quite a few years ago, so I actually have a second look at the One Ring is the title. So Sammy shares her thoughts on the One Ring. So I want to say it is I think it's the only game that actually has 2 written reviews on the Gaming Gang. So that's pretty wild. That's a first. Okay, so on Monday, I'm going to review The Boldest, which I did an unboxing for and took a peek at earlier this week. This is from Stronghold Games. I am gaming this weekend, yes, because I talked to my best friend Elliot Miller. We're going to be getting together on Saturday, so that's going to bust out. Yes, Ghost is saying, Fellowship of the Whizbub. Then one of the items, remember I was talking about Portal Dragon, right? So pick the lock, Palm Island. And I said, oh, yeah. And then they sent a bigger footprint game. Well, Tuesday's show, I am going to take a look at Zephyr Winds of Change. This box is got some serious heft to it. It really does. But it's kind of a steampunk game. Let's show you the back. I got to be honest, I am not familiar with Portal Dragon, but the fine folks over at Portal Dragon were very kind to send me a box full of goodies. So that will be on Tuesday's show. Then, man, I got stuff stacked all over the place. On Wednesday's show, I will be reviewing Space Corp 2025 through 2300 AD. This is from my friends over at GMT Games. So that'll be Wargame Wednesday. I might do another special bonus first look at a Tiny Battle Publishing title as well on Wednesday's show, because Flying Pig Games and Tiny Battle Publishing are sponsors of the Wednesday shows. Okay, so next Thursday, see, I've got this all plotted out. Next Thursday, I'm going to take a first look at Castle Falkenstein from our Talsorian Games. This has been out for quite some time. This has been out for quite a few years. I've always heard good things about it. And then we're also going to page through this supplement as well. I gotta say, now I haven't even looked into this yet. Oh, there's color. There's a little bit of color. Not much. I gotta say, just the way these soft covers are from our Talsorian Games really reminds me of the GMT stuff. Not GMT. GDW stuff from way back in the day. Like Space 1889, Twilight 2000. That was a pretty cool system. And then next Friday, I got a copy of Traveler Ascension Imperial Warrant from my good pal Terry Coleman and Daring Play. Yes, this game had been kickstarted. It had been years in the making. It is finally out. Yes, it has finally made its way out. And I am going to, let's try to get rid of some of the glare that's popping up. Whoops. Come on, you. All right. Anyway, we're going to take a look at this on Friday's show. So a week from tomorrow. Okay, so let's get all that stuff out of the way. All right, so let me grab a sip. It's time for us to take a look at The Witcher pen and paper role-playing game. Yes, that is how it is referred to, because you don't want to confuse it with The Witcher PC game or console game, or I guess we'll say video game. I feel weird calling like role-playing games, like even like Dragon Age, which kind of similar in, you know, in some respects to The Witcher. I feel weird calling that a video game, right? I don't know. To me, video games are kind of like arcade-ish games, but that's just me. Anyway, so it is The Witcher pen and paper role-playing game from our Talsorian Games. It is written by Cody Pondsmith and Lisa Pondsmith. The 336-page hardcover book is available for $50 or in PDF during the GM's Day Sale, as I mentioned, for $19.99. It is normally $24.99. Okay, so let's move on over to the other camera. Let's get this on out. I forgot the reading specs upstairs tonight, but I think I should be all right. So let's crack this on open, and we'll start taking a peek. Let's make sure. Yep. So kind of got the paper has a bit of a sheen to it. Decent paper quality. Okay, so we're gonna flip through this. We're gonna kind of page through, and I know, trying to make sure that we don't get too much glare. Let's see if I get rid of this. How much glare are we gonna get? Yeah, we're getting a little more than I want. I think if I angle it a little bit, we get rid of some of that. Not a ton. No, we'll see what we can do. Okay. Anyway, all right. Got to be 110% completely honest. I have never played The Witcher. I have not played The Witcher, The Witcher 2, Witcher 3, any of the Witcher games whatsoever. Sorry, I don't have time. I do not have a lot of time to sit back and play a lot of computer games and that anymore, which kind of stinks because I really did computer games. So we've got the world of The Witcher. Now, I mean, I have a little bit of an understanding of the setting and stuff. I know it gets dirty. There's dirty parts to it. But from things I've heard kind of through the grapevine, I have heard that this book really does justice to the setting as a setting guide. So that I can tell you. So here we go. So we got Plagues and Mutants from The Witcher 1. Betrayal at Loch Moine. I don't know. It's from The Witcher 2. World's Fallen Apart. Before The Witcher 3. There we go. So, oh, there's actually, isn't there? It's a Netflix series that's going to be coming out of The Witcher. And it stars... yeah, it's really glossy. That's why we're getting this glare that I'm trying to mess around with so we don't... I guess I'll have to hold it up about like that. Oh, gosh. I'm trying to remember. It's the actor who played Superman. Who just got done playing Superman. Who I thought was fine. I know people were like, It's like, no, I thought he was all right. Superman's a tough gig. Superman is a tough role to take on because as popular as Superman was in the 40s, as far as like a comic book when it came out, and it would sell millions and millions of issues. As, more superheroes came out of the scene and things, yeah, there we go. Henry Cavill. Yes. Thank you. Thank you, gents. Both, I assume you're gents. Sorry. Sorry. Yes, Henry Cavill. Isn't it Cavill? Isn't that how it's pronounced? But Superman's a tough gig because you don't identify with Superman. You identify with Batman. You identify with Peter Parker. You can even sort of identify, say, with Steve Rogers, a Man Out of Time, right? See, I liked Man of Steel. I thought Man of Steel was pretty good outside the part when he kills Zod, but then again, what else is he going to do, right? Sort of like when I remember the Batman movie with Michael Keaton, and it had the Penguin and Catwoman and stuff like that. And Batman's just walking around killing everybody. I was like, I was pissed. I was with my fiance and my best friend Elliot. I think a couple of our other friends were with us, and I was like, this is bullshit. I'm like, Batman doesn't go around just killing people. Right, so we've got some of the various different characters from the series, obviously enough. So we've got some are magic users, others, obviously enough, do not use any magic. We're seeing some of the attributes here. We've got skills, we've got key skills, different gear. So if you're looking to include, I guess, some of the famous characters from the series, then you can jump on in and utilize these as player characters, maybe, or of course NPCs. So we've got your character creation. You're picking your race. I'm surprised companies are still using that term. Most people were going with cultures. Your lifespan, your profession. Pick your statistics. Okay, that's interesting. So you must have some sort of a point pool that you can use. Select your pickup skills. Get your coin. That's right. Money, money, money. Outfit yourself. Okay, so we've got the races. We've got witchers, elves, dwarves, humans. There's your life path. Quite a lot of charts if you want to roll a 10-sided die. I honestly have no idea what kind of mechanics The Witcher uses as far as the pen and paper role-playing game here. Fortune or misfortune, allies and enemies. Romance. Romance isn't exactly uncommon in the world of The Witcher. No, I didn't think it was. But happy romance is. One-night stands and love affairs that end in death or depression are far more common. Oh, yay. Jeez. Whores and debauchery. Okay, so that we can tell this is not really for little ones, right? All right. Species. Was he in Species? I remember that movie. That movie was pretty good. Was Superman in Species? Your personal style? So it's your personal style, but you're gonna roll. If it's your personal style, wouldn't you be making up your personal style? Your profession. So we got bard, craftsman, criminal, doctor, mage, man-at-arms, merchant, Stephen Merchant, priest, and witcher. This world doesn't need this world doesn't need a hero. It needs a professional. Dun, dun, dun. Yes, isn't he sort of oh no, you mentioned games not using the term race anymore. Oh, there you go, species. Yes, thank you. I know, species seems a little harsh. So as far as my understanding, isn't Geralt like kind of an anti-hero? Not necessarily to the extent of, say, like Elric of Melna Bonnet is, but I thought he's kind of an anti-hero. He's not exactly lawful good. Although I don't think he's necessarily chaotic evil either. Of course, I'm sure this is certainly not a game that uses any sort of alignments. Which, myself personally, when I run any kind of fantasy game, there are no alignments. I don't do alignments. I don't mind. I'll utilize alignments for NPCs and monsters and things like that. I don't want the characters to have to be stuck towing the line to an alignment, even if they're a paladin. So we had leveling up, reputation, skill trees. Seems like some of this stuff is just kind of like, okay, here's one page. Here's your info on one page. So maybe this isn't... I don't know. This does look somewhatly crunchy. Just, it's a lot of different info here. These are the skill trees for the various professions. Here we've got gear. Different weapons. Not a bad selection of weapons here. Got weapon descriptions. Yay! Wish there were some images of the weapons, though, as opposed to the descriptions. But hey, at least we're getting some descriptions of some of the weapons. One of my pet peeves is when we see a fantasy role-playing game, and they have a bunch of weapons, and it's like, okay, so I'm supposed to, well, granted, I personally know what a lot of them are, but not all of them, especially when we start getting into all these, like, different pole arms, especially from advanced D&D. It's kind of like, geez. Come on, Gary. Do you really need to get that specific with the pole arms? But Ghost says, I find alignment is a good idea for newer players who need a guiding play style. I don't know. I don't know about that. If you were going to use a guiding play style, you see, because I figure most newer gamers have already seen loads of movies, so that would kind of give them an idea of how they might want to approach their heroes. Yeah, there you go. Yes, Warhammer 4E has the problem. What is a main gauche? Main gauche is it's almost like a sai, I think they're called, like the Japanese, but it's used to parry. It's used in an offhand to parry, is what it is. But of course, it can be used as an offensive weapon as well. Okay, so armor descriptions: Elder Folk Armory. I wonder if those are kind of like the elves. dwarves. Alchemical items, or alchemal items. Alchemy, I should say. Wasn't this? Didn't this say alchemal? Yeah, alchemical. We got alchemy descriptions, armor enhancements, transportation. I don't know. I'm really gonna have to go through this, but to me, it's sort of like it's just like a lot of tables and descriptions and things like that, and I'm not really seeing. Okay, so here are like the rules to play the game. So we got magic. Okay, so we got a magic section here. Mage spells. So we got list of spells. And now we're gonna have spell descriptions. Okay. I don't think, now I might be wrong, but I don't think our Talsorian Games has like a house system, right? Like say Modiphius Entertainment, their house system tends to be their 2d20. Whereas say Free League's house system tends to be a d6 based system. Where you have like a dice pool and 6s are successes and so on and so forth. Whereas, say, like Chaosium tends to have a D100 system to their games. I don't know if our Talsorian Games has kind of a house system, because I could have swore I thought Castle Falkenstein actually utilizes a deck of like playing cards. Maybe I'm way wrong, but for some strange reason I thought that that it utilizes like a deck of playing cards and dice, I think. All right, hexes. All right, so we got kind of like curses, learning magic, places of power, craftsmen and alchemists. Well, I have to say, I really dig the artwork. There's a lot of artwork to this, but it's almost like the artwork is, I don't know. Okay, now this isn't a review. We're just looking through this. I'm wondering, where's the game? We're like almost halfway through the book. So we're we got a lot of charts. Looks like there's a lot of information in here. I'm just not sure how well referenced all this stuff is together as far as playing the game. You know, fixing and salvaging, substances. I mean, this looks very cool. It's just, I'm kind of curious, how does this all tie together as a game? The rules, don't die. There you go. There you have it. Okay, so here we have combat. So don't be discouraged. You may be frustrated getting to this point if you're not playing a Witcher. Don't be. Witchers are bona fide killing machines, but they are far from the only deadly people out there. That was something else I was kind of curious about. Is I mean, it is The Witcher. The games are based, you know, Geralt is the main character. He's the Witcher. He's like the big star. Wonder how some of the players would respond to not playing that class, that profession. So we got combat. Don't fight groups. Okay. So there's no group combat rules because it says don't fight groups. Use your advantages. Critical wounds, fighting monsters, fighting with magic. Okay, combat. We got the basic with rounds, initiative, actions, line of sights. More charts. Ambushes, damage, fast strikes, hit location. Humanoid damage. Armor, layering armor. Human shields. There you go. Human shields is cover. I thought isn't what you're using a human shield for? Isn't it a lot like Star Wars? Everybody wants to play a Jedi. Yeah, but don't Jedis really, playing Jedis in a Star Wars role-playing game, doesn't that kind of gank the game? I mean, I don't know. Personally, have I run Star Wars? I had all those West End Games books. I don't remember ever running the D6 Star Wars. But the funny thing is, I think if I were running a Star Wars game, I don't think I'd let any of the players play a Jedi, especially if it was supposed to be, you know, right around the original trilogy. I don't think I would do that because I don't know. Even if we were looking at like the newest trilogy, I don't know if I'd let the characters play as Jedi. Just kind of my thought on it. Not to say that they wouldn't run across Jedi, or maybe, you know, the Sith. Okay, so at least looks like we've got quite a bit as far as information about combat. So we had a few pages there. What is it? Was that environmental stuff? Extreme heat? Yeah. Snow and ice. Fighting in water. Like I said, the artwork is, let's see if we can get a better look at that. The artwork's very nice. I definitely dig this artwork. It's very cool. We got horses, mounted combat. Here's an example of combat. Healing. Oh, that's not looking good. Looks like she's gonna use that saw to take the arm off there. No thanks. We got optional rules. Monsters in the novels. Technically, the rules in this book are based on the Witcher video games, which were simplified for ease of play. If you want to follow the rules of the Witcher novels, things are slightly different. In the novel continuity, Witchers carry 2 swords. Only some monsters are susceptible to silver, while others are susceptible to meteorite steel. Okay. So I'm curious. I don't know. Army of Jedis, yeah. Ghost says, yeah, I was never a fan of armies of Jedis. No, I don't blame you. So I don't, like I said, I'm not familiar with the video game, so that means I know a little about the video game, but I'm completely unfamiliar with the novels. So I'm wondering if there tends to be like more monsters in the books as opposed to the video game. I don't know. Okay, so now we've got the world of The Witcher. So the Northern Kingdom. I guess we've got the various different rulers or dukedoms, duchies. Yep. Okay, so, well, I mean, I got to be honest that me doing a page through this, not being familiar with The Witcher itself, probably is not all that exciting, because it's not like, oh, wow, hey, oh, gosh, they've got this. So, Ghost is wondering if there's different sets of rules for normal play, but another set for more narrative, true to canon rules. If you're talking about The Witcher, because I know you're actually talking a little bit about Star Wars too, I don't know. But so here's the thing. And if you watched enough of my role-playing game reviews, which this is not, this is just a page through, I'm more concerned with, I don't want to necessarily say fluff. To me, I'm more concerned with the background, the story, the setting, the way things are presented. Mechanically, I'm not super overly concerned with the mechanics of a role-playing game because it doesn't matter what it is. I'm going to kit bash it somehow. Somehow I'm going to replace things that I don't like with things that I do like. When I read through a role-playing game core book or adventure, what have you, my biggest draw is, and what I mainly base my review on is, when I finished reading through this, do I want to play this? Do I want to run this? And if the answer is yes, but I have to make some tweaks as far as the game mechanics, then that's fine. I will mention that. But I don't sit there expecting any role-playing game to be perfect at all. So we are in the Game Master's Guide here. So we've got running Witcher. This isn't epic fantasy. That's right. It's that I know. This is not high fantasy. So it says, when you sit down to run your game, it's important to remember that The Witcher is, hey, there you go. This is not a high fantasy epic setting. In The Witcher stories, despite overarching plots such as the prophecy, oh, okay, well, I guess that's different stuff that's going on. Geralt never picks up a magic sword handed down to him by the gods and slays an army of demons, never travels to hell to defeat an evil god, and never sets out to save the world. The world of the Witcher is down to earth and revolves around understandable concepts. Kind of similar in some ways to from that French company. Oh gosh, now I can't think of it. I interviewed them way back in the day when their game was first coming out. It's kind of a fantasy horror game. Really, really phenomenal artwork. Kind of wonky mechanically, but another game where it was like, you know, very kind of gritty, kind of realistic, sort of based more in like European fairy tales as opposed to, oh wow, look, there's that blue dragon, as opposed to being a gold dragon. Okay, so we got random possessions. Relics and min-maxers. Okay. Min-maxer. Down. Popularity in games. Highly unpopular. Simple definition. A player spends hours, even days, reading through every bit of source material, every rule and online guide to create the ultimate character, often using exploits or loopholes in the system to achieve this. Alright, so there is no love for min-maxers in the Witcher tabletop role-playing game. Good NPCs, campaigning. I don't know how the horse got up there. So, curses. Foiled again. No, just curses. World states. Yeah, min-maxers, boo, hiss. I tell my players all the time, it's like, you know what, just let's don't. I prefer, actually, personally, I like playing. I don't get to role play as much as I'd like to as a character, as a player. I'm always the one, you know. I don't use a screen, but I'd be behind the screen. I prefer having a character that's got some flaws, some you know, a little bit of challenge to the character itself. So the hunt. There's just loads and loads of charts in this. I got to be honest. I don't, and I know there are a lot of people out there who love tons and tons of charts. I get that. I'm not necessarily that person. But you got to admit, there's loads and loads of information in here. Experiments, runes, and relics. Runes and glyphs. So these are different items. Red Death, Fate. Relic armor sets. I'm taking a guess that these are kind of probably pulled from the computer games, the video games. Okay, so we got the bestiary here. So let's see what kind of creatures we've got. Monster types: humanoids, necrophages, specters, beasts, cursed ones, hybrids, insectoids, elementa, vampires, draconids. Well, I guess there's dragons. Ogroids, so we got trolls and ogres and so forth. So here we go. Bandits, mages, archers. Telling you what kind of threat they are too. Well, you know, that's helpful for first-time game masters or relatively new game masters. Drowners. Common folk don't know much about drowners. Old wives' tales say when an evil enough son... Okay, all right. I'm just reading this, right? Okay. When an evil enough son of a bitch bites its and their corpse winds up in a river or lake, they come back as a drowner. Drowners are mindless beasts that live to drown unlucky bastards and feed on their corpses. They ain't the most dangerous beasts in the world, but they gang up on you. If you see one drowner, there's probably another 2 or 3 hiding in the water. Okay. And I guess that's... No. That's what it looks like there. Okay. Almost kind of like a zombie. Okay, ghoul. You got a ghoul there. Grave hag. Wraiths. Noon wraiths. Do we have midnight wraiths? Wolves and wargs. Werewolves. Sirens. Griffins. Andrega. Not sure what that... It almost looks almost like a scorpion. It's almost like a scorpion creature there. Kind of like a spider creature with a flower. Oh, I don't know. Golems. Fiends. Neckers. Horrendous little beasts. There you go, rock troll. Wyverns. Catechans. Okay, that looks kind of wild. It's also kind of got a flower sort of kind of motif to the character design, the monster design. Okay, and then we get into just some very common animals here. To all, good night. So this is this looks like this is the introductory adventure. Development cliffhanger, development cliffhanger, development cliffhanger. So, it looks as if The Witcher is kind of a set piece or scene-driven role-playing game, which is very common these days. Yep, development cliffhanger. Development there we go. Climax. And the ending. Okay, and then we got, looks like some NPCs probably for this adventure. Yeah, maps. All right, character sheets. And the index. And that is our 336-page core book for The Witcher. I don't know of anything that's out as far as supplemental material yet for The Witcher. So, I'm going to take a peek at this, although Sammy might end up doing the main review. So, I might kind of bouncing around, because Sammy was like, oh, wow, can I review The Witcher? I was like, well, I got to shoot video, because our Talsorian Games wants video. But they had also sent me a PDF. So I said, okay, well, here, take a look at the PDF. Why don't you take a look through, you don't necessarily have to write up a review, but give me some bullet points on what you think. And then if we, disagree or agree when I do the review, it's actually going to be two people's kind of take on it. Go says, normally I love glossy paper, but this is a bit much. It looks a bit cheap, like too plasticky. I wouldn't say that, but I would say the paper's not real thick. If you're thinking along the lines of, say, Free League or Ulysses North America or Ulysses Spiel even, no, I would say the paper quality is not. I would not say it's the same. Although, got to admit, the paper quality for the Warhammer 40K Wrath and Glory book, that paper was a little thin too. I was a little surprised, but no, I would not put the paper quality in the same realm as, let's say, Free League. Tell you what, I've got Adventures in Middle-earth right here, sitting right here. Yeah, see, Adventures in Middle-earth, Cubicle 7, which this is their standard paper weight. and I don't mean this is used as a paperweight. I mean the paperweight, much thicker than that. So don't know. We will see. We'll take a look. I have, like I said, I have never actually looked at an Talsorian role-playing game until now. So I'm always willing to give companies, benefit of the doubt. They've been around for a long time, so must be doing something right. But yes, the artwork looked really, really nice in The Witcher. So I'll dig in. I'll take a look. I gotta be honest, it's a lot of charts, so it probably won't take me as long to read through those 336 pages as it would some other book. But I would say a couple weeks on the Witcher review. So there you have it. All right. So as I mentioned, I was just holding it up. On tomorrow's show, I will be doing the same thing I did tonight. I will be taking a first look and paging through the Adventures in Middle-earth Breland region guide for Adventures in Middle-earth, your 5th edition Tolkien role-playing. So, this is only 100 and some pages, so, well, it's Friday. It'll be a shorter show. Friday shows usually are a little shorter, right? Okay, so that is it for tonight's show. As I like to point out when you're not watching videos on the Gaming Gang channel, please feel free to visit thegaminggang.com for all the latest in gaming news, reviews, comics, movies, TV. Come on, by now you know the drill. Get your geek on at thegaminggang.com. So, once again, I'm Jeff McAleer. Enjoy the rest of your Thursday night. I will be back tomorrow to wrap up the week on the Friday show. Yes, Ghost is like, yes, Friday night. So, as I mentioned, have a great Thursday night, and I'll be back tomorrow. And as always, thank you very much for watching. Thanks again for watching The Daily Dope, presented by The Gaming Gang. If you like this episode, be sure to give it a quick thumbs up. And if you dig the channel, please subscribe. If you'd like to check out our previous episode, click right here. And if you want to check out a somewhat randomly selected episode, give a click right down here. It'll be like opening a box of Cracker Jacks. You just don't know what you'll get. Once again, thanks for watching, and I'm Jeff McAleer.